Hi everyone, it's your favourite Atomic Blonde here, and just had to jump on. I did say I'd try and do a review as soon as I've seen Picard Season 3 Episode 1. Now, normally I would never say this about New Trek, but unfortunately we do actually get it the day after the States. Normally we'd be quite, glad about that. But no, it dropped this morning on Amazon Prime. Yeah, we got it on Amazon Prime here rather than Paramount Plus. And that itself is like, there's been no advertising, no promoting from Amazon. I literally had to search to find it on Amazon Prime, where normally it's in the banner at the top and, coming soon. Literally looked at new shows coming, starting soon. Not been there. They're not promoting it one jot, which is really, I don't know if it's because we now have Paramount Plus in the UK, but it's on Amazon, so they've not been allowed to promote it, which kind of sounds counterintuitive. Or are they worried because there's a lot of rumours about this season being good, that it might perform well or perform better than Rings of Power, which wouldn't be hard, would it? Let's face it. So I don't know. But it is on there. It's on Amazon Prime. Dropped this morning. Just the one episode. We are going to get it weekly. And by my response, you can tell I really enjoyed this episode. Is it perfect? No. Does it have aesthetics of the Kurtzman universe? Yes. Was it well written? Yes. Were the characters that we know and love recognizable? Yes. Yeah. I've been talking about this show since summer last year, when I first heard R&B, Robert Meyer Burnett, talking about this and saying, I can't tell you how, but I think initially read the script, and then he'd seen the episodes without the special effects, and saying what a great show this was. And we're all like, what are you smoking, Rob? We know how much he hates New Trek, and God, don't we all? But he kept saying, look, guys, trust me on this. Now, look, first episode, still time to get burned, but have heard good things yesterday. Robert Meyer Burnett, I do generally trust his opinion, bit iffy when it comes to MCU, but he's sci-fi. I trust his views. And then, other people who I trust who have seen at least 6 episodes, if not all of them, like No Roddick, Critical Drinker, are saying this show nails the landing as well. So, yeah, we have a recognizable Picard. He's clearing up Chateau Picard. He's going off to Romulus with his housekeeper, now girlfriend. For those who didn't see season 2, I didn't see season 2. I just saw I saw the first 2 episodes, and it was so bad I bailed. So I don't even know how season 2 ended. But that's a good thing, because if you haven't watched it either, you don't need to. You can get exactly what is going on in season 3 without watching any of that nonsense Trek. So yeah, he's packing up. He's getting ready to go to Romulus, and then we hear that little communicator noise, that little, and we're like, oh. And he's going through his stuff, and he finds his old Captain Picard. He's now Admiral Picard, retired. His captain's uniform and comms badge, and the comms badge is making that little tappy noise. And he basically works out that there's a coded message on it, and it's been sent by Beverly Crusher, who he hasn't seen for 20 years. And then we find out that none of the crew have. She just upped and left, cut ties with absolutely everybody, and nobody's spoken to her in over 20 years. And she kind of gives him this coded message and coordinates. She's been injured, and basically, he's not to trust anybody, not even Starfleet. So Picard reaches out to Riker, relays all this information, and we see at the Federation there's Frontier Day coming up. They're both going to be doing speeches at Starfleet as highly decorated officers and all that kind of thing. So they use it as a cover to go on to the Titan, which is Riker's old command. This is the newly sort of refitted new class version, Titan A. To do an inspection ahead of Frontier Day and test out the recruits and stuff. So they go onto the ship, and we find 7 of 9 is the first officer there, the commander. But she's now, well, her captain insists that she uses her human name. So obviously, we know from Voyager, she was assimilated by the Borg when she was a young girl, about 7 or 8. And adopted the name 7 of 9, but obviously she had a name when she was human. So she's now using that. They meet the captain, who is an absolute arse. But what I will say is that they come on board. You get the little admiral, the little whistle, the Navy callbacks like we had in Wrath of Khan, and it's run like a proper ship. There's a chain of command, and people give orders, and people are doing their jobs. And we find Geordi LaForge's daughter is the pilot on the Titan. And there's a couple of little interactions with Riker, and because basically she's on the bridge and she's just beaming at them, and Picard's like, "Who's that nut job over there? Is she all right?" And then Seven says like, "Eyes forward, the Forge," and he clicks that it's Geordi's daughter, and then Riker sort of brings up her nickname from the academy, like Crash LaForge, and she's like, ugh. And all this stuff. So you've kind of got this that obviously they still know Geordi, and obviously know his family and stuff like that. And they've got this plan that they basically obviously want to take the ship and go to these coordinates that Beverly gave them. They meet the captain for dinner. He's already started without them. He really doesn't want them there. He's got zero respect for them. He just they're in that mold, a bit like her, always disobeying orders, always going off, crashing stuff, blowing stuff up, but somehow you get promoted. And he's very he's by the book, the numbers, all that kind of thing. He gives them bunk beds to sleep in. It's hilarious. He's in the cadets' quarters. And Seven, basically, so basically, Picard and Riker said, "Oh, we want to go somewhere else, really test the ship and your crew and all this kind of thing." And the captain just says no. He's like, "Admiral, you're retired. Riker, you might be a captain, but you don't have a chair. And my orders come from Starfleet," which is exactly what you'd expect someone in Starfleet to say. None of this nonsense around just constant mutinies and hijackings and ignoring chains of command, all this nonsense. But saying that, but Seven basically has goes to Picard and Riker, what is going on. I know there's something going on, and have the decency to tell me, or I'm going to fire out the airlock, kind of thing. And even that, Riker's like, "Don't talk to an admiral like that," and she's like, "I'm not talking to an admiral like that. I'm talking to my friend." And it's like, but again, is that you just don't cuss out and sass people who are more superior than you, or because he's a man. Right. So anyway, they tell her this message that they've had, and it's all encoded. So she basically disobeys the captain and gets them to this nebula, where they find Beverly hiding in this nebula, and this young boy pulls a gun on them, and she's in stasis because obviously we saw her get hurt at the start of the episode. And they ask who he is, and he's like, "I'm her son." And we're like, "Well, it's not Wesley." Thank God. So, but he's got this English accent. So you're like, "Ooh, is he Picard's son?" Don't know. And why has he got this English accent? Where did he grow up, and how did he get it? And at the very start, the captain's log is playing from the Enterprise D with Picard talking about the Borg and the Borg invasion. So there's callbacks to that. But the relationship between Riker and Picard is great. The writings really captured that chemistry. And it also captures seeing two men who have been friends for 30, maybe 40 years, and gone and, risked life and limb together. They've won, they've lost, their whole lives, the most meaningful parts of their lives they've shared together. And that really kind of comes across, even just in episode 1. And there's some calls as well to like their age now, and like Picard's got like arthritis in his hands, and Riker's knees are killing him. So Riker's like, oh, we'll be fine as long as we don't need to run or shoot anything. Just is about to board Beverly's ship and find out what the hell's going on. So, there is a nod that they are older, they can't run around and be cavalier like they used to be. They are older men, but that doesn't mean that they're useless or on the scrap heap kind of thing. So, yeah, it's really, I was like, at the end of episode 1, I'm gutted that I can't binge it. I really want to see what happens in episode 2. So we just had this, and so we just had this bombshell that this kid's Beverly's son, and then the whoever it was after Beverly at the start of the episode has found them. This massive ship kind of comes out of the nebula, like over the ship that they're in, which it just absolutely dwarfs it. It's and at the moment we don't know who the foe is. We don't know why they're after Beverly, and all of this. So yeah, I was like, oh, need to know what happens. So yeah, it's and the music is fantastic. It looks and it sounds like Star Trek. Watch all the end credits. It starts off with that sort of crappy Picard music, but then goes into Next Generation, and obviously from Rafa Khan original piece. And then there's all the graphics at the end. You need to look at those. There's all little clues and things in there. Yeah, I mean, is it perfect? No, of course it's not. It's still got that very sort of dark, as in the colorization, like the ships are still very dark and got that sort of, whereas obviously certainly Next Generation, I think it was like quite light and beige and all those kind of things, but it still has this very sort of dark wall-like kind of more military type cosmetic, I guess, rather than what we're used to seeing. Yeah, and they go to 10 forward. Thankfully Guinan's not there. So yeah, obviously there's going to have to be some callbacks. There's got to be acknowledgements that this is in the Kurtzman universe. There's only so much Terry Matalas can do, even though he was given free reign to write this season because the others were bored with it, right? And went off and done their pet projects. But if this continues the way it is, and say what I've heard, it does. I really hope people do watch this episode. Now, I know there's a lot of mixed views on YouTube and Twitter, and I've talked about this briefly on some of my shows, on my Nerdy Weekly Roundup and Atomic Pop Chat, and on my Sunday lunch last Sunday. I just don't. I understand that we want people like Kurtzman as far away from our IPs as possible because they have driven them into the ground. But at the same time, I really feel, what is the point of us having these channels and calling out this crap and saying, do better? You're destroying our IPs. This isn't what the universe is supposed to look like. It's about allegory, it's sci-fi, it's intelligence. It's not about whacking us around the head with the message. Now, if we then, when we get what we're asking for, go, yeah, I'm not going to watch that. I'm not going to watch on principle. I'm not going to do this. I've black-pilled. What is the point of having these channels? We might as well just sit here and not say anything. If we start getting the shows that we want at the quality that we want, with good writing, good characterization, and then we're like, well, we're not going to watch it. Well, we deserve what we get. So I really hope this enables, or Paramount will turn around and say, we want Kurtzman, you can be there in name only, but we want Terry running the franchise. Or even say, as I said in my podcast on Sunday, I really hope he can set up his own production company and he can own this, like take it off Secret Hideout when their contract runs out, or if there's a break clause or something like that he can get his paws on it. Because even from one episode, it's head and shoulders better than anything we've had in years, decades. or at least a decade. And I really feel we need to support this show, because if we don't, people like Terry Matalis won't be given the chance to do it again. And the creators will just be, look, they complain when we do this, they complain when we do that, sod it. We'll cancel the show, or we'll just churn out cheap crap, whatever we want to do, because they're never happy anyway, and they ain't going to watch it anyway. So I kind of feel we have to support when someone is going, we hear you, we're listening. Same with Doctor Who. I'm going to give the 60th a go. I'm going to give Shooty a go. Because have they listened to us? Are they making it sci-fi again? Are they making it Doctor Who again? And if you don't, okay, it doesn't mean we have to forgive them or forget or not carry on banging the drum saying, because if this is great and then the next season of Strange New Worlds is shit, you don't have to watch Strange New Worlds because Picard 3 was good. You go, no, that's shit. Look over there. That's what it should look like. I'm not watching this nonsense, right? So, you can still have your principles. You can still turn around and say, I'm not watching this because it's garbage, but I watched that because it was bloody good. And I kind of feel that's what we have to do. If we just sit here and moan and complain and don't watch things, even when people are trying, and with all the limitations, there's constraints over Terry Matalis, at the end of the day, it's still being made by Secret Hideout and Kurtzman's still his boss. So, as much as he has made it Star Trek, he's got limitations. We've all got limitations. So until he can fully own that franchise himself, I think we need to be a little bit forgiving on some of that stuff. But we should never be forgiving on story, characterization, that we should be able to recognize the characters we're seeing on screen. Yes, they age, they mature. They won't act like they did when they were 30, 40, 50. But fundamentally, your personality doesn't change. Your morals, well, maybe you do, but you probably become more cautious and things as you're older. You're not as cavalier, but I still should be able to watch a character, whether they're 30 or 60, going, I recognize that character. I grew up with that character. And I can relate to that character, regardless of their gender or their sexuality. So yeah, guys, I'm really happy that I have been like this since RMB said this is good. And then gradually, one by one, people whose opinions I respect have been coming out. Now they've been able to see it over the last few days, going, this is pretty good. So I am so relieved that the first episode was good. I cannot wait for next week's episode. And I just really want to see this season. And I just so hope it leads to good stuff for Terry Matalis. That it somehow, because it's good, it doesn't backfire on him, because it completely shows up Kurtzman and Goldsmith, Aviva, whatever his name is. Never remember his name, but and he gets the the kudos he deserves, and the reign to go on to make other shows of Star Trek. Maybe his creations, things, brand new things. I mean, how amazing would that be if we got a brand new Star Trek that was good? Anyway, short and sweet. I have got work to do, but I really just wanted to jump on and say, yeah, it's good. I'm looking forward to episode 2. I have hope that it will continue to be good, just based on what I've heard, but I'm not saying this show is perfect. But oh my God, it is such an improvement. And I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was fun to watch. So please go check it out on Amazon Prime here in the UK on a Friday. It's on Paramount Plus on a Thursday in the States. But do give it a go. If you watch the first 2 episodes and you hate it, fair enough. But give it a go. That's all I can ask. So I'll be back next week. Probably I will review, depending on how good the episode is, I might jump on, get a few words in, but I'll do my full roundup on my new Sunday lunch. So I will see you on Sunday. Take care and enjoy Picard Season 3, Episode 1. Goodbye.